In the interest of time and because it's my birthday, I would be very brief. But I also would be brief because tomorrow we have another occasion where the public would be advised of the policies and programs of the Team Uni administration as we attempt the difficult challenge, and we do so humbly, to advance the good fortunes of St. Kitts and Nevis, so that the generation that will come after us could feel a sense of pride and admiration that we who had preceded them had remained faithful to the cause of nation building. And as I reflect today, sitting down and having the opportunity of a few moments waiting for Cameron to sing, I reflected that the task really of taking the country forward is never an easy one. And so I pay tribute to all those who have worked over the years, particularly since our moment of self-government, to advance St. Kitts and Nevis, and to do so with love and with humility. For this is our country. And throughout the campaign, one of the sweet refrains that we made as a team was that we would want our children and their children to always be able to say, of all the lands, be they east or west, we love our land. We love our St. Kitts and Nevis the best. And that is what has guided me and has been guiding the administration. And yet, as mere mortals, we have our frailties and our idiosyncrasies, and at times we have come short. But we have never come short in terms of passion. We have never fallen short in terms of our commitment that working together we can achieve so much for the good people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And on that part, we shall never retreat. Whatever the challenges and the difficulties, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis gave us a unique opportunity to take St. Kitts and Nevis to a higher level. And we are committed to take that challenge, and at the end of it, to hear the sweet chorus, "Well done, thou good and faithful servants." And in that regard, I want to thank those who have been serving as part of the Team Unity administration, in particular those who are here, who have been given the responsibility to take the health sector forward and upward. Not at the very instant, because we will be daydreaming if we believe that by some magic wand, by osmosis, that all the things that were awry could suddenly become right. That we could, as it were, put Humpty Dumpty together again without a Herculean effort. And so I want to thank the ministers, Eugene Hamilton and Senator Wendy Phipps, for their leadership of the health ministry. Could we give them a round of applause? And I know each one is committed to the cause of service, to the cause of ensuring they play their small part in advancing the agenda for all of our people, regardless of their creed, their race, their sexual preferences, recognizing that all are equal under God. And as we reflect yesterday on the message about health, not just the absence of diseases we are told, but we are talking about, as it were, the synergistic impact of mental, body, and soul. And reflected a little bit with how the soul come into this. And this morning, as we hear our dear Reverend spoke to the Bible and remind us to give God thanks for all good things. And I remember too, Pastor, it's not good, all good things, but for everything, be they good or bad. Because at the end of the day, it is only the souls would last. The things that impact upon the soul, ultimately, I am advised and do very believe, would last. So we get it right in terms of the mental attitude and our mental predisposition. And we understand too how that impacts upon the body in the physical form. And we understand that even with those, if we don't believe in something more superior, something about the soul which we can't just now touch, then we're still not going to get it right. And perhaps it was in their wisdom then that the founding fathers of our independence journey were certain of the need for the reliance upon this higher force and higher being in the context of a pathway to nation building, that they were to have inscribed indelibly into the constitutional founding document this prescription that St. Kitts and Nevis is a nation under God. Because ultimately to build this nation, ultimately to be able to deal with the challenges, the human mind alone, the human body alone, not going to take us through. Somebody did a lovely verse about bending the knees. Even if the knees are not bended, making reference to God, accepting Him, has been a helpful intervention in my own health and in the health of this Team Unity government. And that is why we understand, and I understand, and I proclaim, perhaps too often some say publicly, to God be the glory. And if you believe that, give Him a round of applause. In, as it were, referring back to our independence constitution, allowed me then to pay formal respect to the country's first Prime Minister, our only surviving national hero, Dr. the Right Excellent Sir Kennedy Alphonse Simmons. And I thank him for being here today, as he was there yesterday. And I'm not going to do the analogy which Dr. Laws did about those who were lucky to be here because they were ill-suited over there. That was a joke for yesterday. But we are grateful for your presence. Because your presence in some ways reflect one of the essential messages that must come all times. Especially when we could engage in the dissonance of arguments about what is happening in health, about the role of nationalities in health, about whether they should come from Cuba or Philippines. Because ultimately, as a small country, and Minister Wendy made reference to that, of mere 50 souls, you will never have enough resident manpower, locally and homegrown, to satisfy the difficult task of national development. No small island country has, and no large country has up to today been able to do it. That is why healthcare needs all of us. And it doesn't matter if you're from the Philippines, I say welcome to service. It doesn't matter if you're from Cuba, welcome to service. Because there are some privilege enough when sickness hits them, and at some point it may hit any of us. They could call upon a godfather in some high places. They could be flown out and a plane. They could go to Miami Baptist Healthcare. They could go off for specialist care for spinal problems in New York. And they could charge it to the good offices of the Treasury. But the ordinary man and woman here in this, the land of my birth, has no such luxury. And our duty then is to bring the specialists here to St. Kitts and Nevis, where they are of greater service to the vast majority of people. And my government will make no apology for serving the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The truth be told, we say, come. Wherever you are, if you want to help St. Kitts and Nevis advance, come and help, man. Put your hands to the wheel. It is easy to object, and it is easy to criticize. It is not so easy to come and say, despite all of the challenges, despite all of the difficulties, this is my land, and whether it be east or west, the land that I love the best hearkens me to service at home. It is not just the politicians who must say that. The doctors must say that. The nurses must say that. The teachers must say that. The security officials must say that. Indeed, every citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis needs to feel motivated at some point in their lives. This is my land. So many have come from far and near, found it so beautiful, wanting to set up. Some don't even want to regularize their immigration status. Because this is the land that they will trade for no other. How much are we prepared to give to the tasks of nation building, notwithstanding our political beliefs and our own ambitions? How much are we prepared to give? And each of us individually must ask that question. How much are we prepared to give to advance of our country? The country needs all of us, the pathologists, those involved in nephrology, those involved in surgery, those involved in all the specialist areas. But how many of our population really will come forward in those areas? How many? Dr. Simmons has had a lifetime doing this in St. Kitts, and he would tell you it's never been easy. When he had finished his own medical career, there were many offers that he had. And he had to make up his mind, whether for love of Mary or for love of country, to come back home to serve his land. Because the challenges are real. If you are professional and you're ambitious in a positive way, you want to show that you are a star, you want to show that you have what it takes, you want to show that you compete with the very best all over the world, then coming back to St. Kitts and Nevis does not give you that platform to do so. Indeed, coming back to St. Kitts and Nevis, when your professor asks you why and where, you have to excuse them if he doesn't quite contemplate. How many people there? 50,000. That's a university campus. And so you excuse him if he doesn't understand how you, for love of country, would want to go back when he is offering you a platform in greener pastures to serve and to apply specialized and specialist skills in a context where you can develop, nurture, hone, and achieve excellence, star support and recognition around the world. So to all those who have come back, particularly those who have been trained here, our nurses, who have been trained and who have stayed on. On behalf of the entire country, I say thank you. To the doctors who have determined to come back, I say thank you. To the administrative staff who has agreed to stay on, I say thank you. And to those of you who are over age and determined that there is a deficiency and a dearth in the provision of services and support, and you're determined to come back, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. The country needs its resources, and the country will not at all times be able to appeal on the basis of monetary reward. And that is why it has to come from something else. And it all must come again from the admonitions and the instructions of the Bible pastor. The greatest of these, still love. It's love of country that makes us stay even when things are uncomfortable. It is love of country that made Dr. Laws return to St. Kitts when the request went out to become our CMO. At a period of grave difficulty, she looked beyond controversy and difficulty, and I said to her, your country needs you now. And she came. Give Dr. Laws a round of applause. All the way to the high echelons of the university, I had to make a call to get her back here. They tell me she is one of the best. That not only she has the finest credentials in the area in which she had been involved, she was just finishing up a PhD in another area of community health care. And I say, our country wants the brightest and the best here too to come help us move along. So I felt very good. I met her twice. Once in a supermarket where I had picked up rice, which Dr. Sihelmi told me never to eat again. I admit, and I'm tempted to correct it. And she had apples. So we saw the difference between perhaps the patient and the doctor. First time I met her. All my conversations before that were by phone. The second time I met her was yesterday, where she served as MC and brought that occasion to a very lovely end by her quiet personality, unassuming nature, and these comical reliefs that she have brought, which only a good doctor knows how to penetrate our minds with such kind of like banter. So I say thanks to her. As I say thanks also to all the doctors here, in particular Dr. Cameron. With his own stellar qualifications, he could have been out there too. Not at the medical that we did yesterday. Out there in greener pastures. I say thank you to Dr. Sieli, who is here, our internist, and all the others who are here, because they could have been elsewhere. And I want you to know that our government and our people appreciates what is happening there. Finally, a word and the more pertinent matter about which you have heard so much, the opening of this oncology unit. Another important development in healthcare delivery right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Universal healthcare becoming available to all the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And it's happening not out there. It is happening here in the land of our birth. It is happening because we are committed to ensuring that our beloved country move ahead. And we heard some of the stats and cancers. 2015, there were 59 new cases in St. Kitts. of which 23 cases, I am advised, were breast cancers, followed by 8 cases of cervical cancer. The women folks who have been hit hardest by cancer and St. Kitts. And as if by some odd logic to create gender balance, and Nevis we have an inverse. 27 reported cases. 22 of them were cases of prostate cancer impacting upon men. So on St. Kitts, 28 cases impacting women with their breasts, and Nevis, 22 cases impacting upon the prostate and impacting upon the men. I believe today's opening is not just good news for those who are involved in healthcare delivery. It is good news for the patients and their families. Someone said that cancer is a dreaded disease, and it certainly is. You could imagine the pain and trauma which afflicts not just the patient but their families, as their loved one often lie in pain, going to treatment, and even the before and the after, they are difficult encounters. So we need to remember these people, and I'm happy today that we are able to at least send some sign of relief. Yesterday, as I visited the ward, I had an opportunity to visit a gentleman who was sick, and he had cancer, I'm told, and I gather he was in the last stage. And you ask, what message of comfort could you bring to a person in that particular condition? How are you feeling today? Are you in pain? Because no word, no phrase, no sentence seemed like the apt one at that particular moment, particularly when you hear that they are going through their loss. So it's a difficult circumstance, and I hope that within our health sector, from administrators down to professional caregivers, that our patients are getting their best of love, of compassion, and of service right here at JNF, but throughout the health sector. Courtesy and kindness and compassion and all those virtues to which the Honorable Minister Hamilton made reference, that they are at their best right here at our health center. And again, when I reflected on that reality and the context of the soul, which when you're on that particular phase, you must be more pressing on your mind. The pastor would advise me should be pressing with you from the very beginning that you know yourself. But being mortals, when we are on the way out, we tend to be a bit more reflective of life and its circumstances. And I said, what could I have said to have made it easy for that gentleman? And my mind went back somewhere in the passage, and I forget the scripture. I won't ask the pastor to help me. But it was a case of the young man. He was young. He had complaints of headache. And the father said, go to your mother. Could be something with Elijah or in the book of Samuel, but you will help me afterwards. You will remind me, Pastor. And when it was that the child had died, he lay on the lap of the mother. You got it, Elijah. Pastor is good. Give her a round of applause. And when they came upon to visit and to ask her, how are you? With a dead son on her lap. In fact, she was fortunate because she was long past the age of childbearing. It comes back to me now. And it was a special gift from God that she would be allowed to have a son. It's a big word in the Bible. They call her that name of a woman. A big word, I can't remember it, too big for today. But when you find the scripture which the pastor would help us, but it says, it is well. Even in the face of death of the precious gift, we have to be able at times to do like that woman and to say at the JNF, we have our challenges, but it is well because we are doing our part. The health sector is not perfect. It is not more dysfunctional than any other entity in public or in private. But it is well because I am doing my part. Because it is the positive view that would help to encourage someone along the way. And being positive doesn't mean that you're being untruthful. I was writing a speech and I learned what my good classmate Dr. Wilkerson says. And some wise man told me a long time ago, be very clear. You could only take responsibility for what you have written and said. You can't take responsibility for the interpretation. And you all know English is a funny language. A funny language. So you may say the right things and it is interpreted badly. And that is why the wisdom of that particular passage stick with me. It is well. No matter the difficulties, it is still well. And some of us in healthcare and in other sectors believe that we are overworked and underpaid, and some of you are, I admit. And in the 2017 budget, we are going to make a special provision for nurses and other healthcare people to get overtime payment. To God be the glory. Long overdue, but better late than never. But it is well. Even when we have to be patient a while longer, we must never give up and doing our part. And I want to go a little biblical, not because I am a preacher, but you can't lose when you talk about the Bible. Look at Job with all that patience. And rather than all of his belief about the wonderful things that God can do, Job said, lock up the crazy woman. Patience, a virtue, because you are at a higher calling. And despite the fact that others are railing against you, I know it, I am in the middle of it every day. And I stand up every day with my head high, proud of myself and proud of what I am doing for this country, and say, to God be the glory. That is why on my birthday, somebody asked, you work on your birthday, Prime Minister? I said, since I know myself, I never celebrate a birthday. I accustom, on your birthday you get a malt and some milk in the good old days. And you hope you ain't get licks. Because we have the contrast between the times which Mr. Hamilton made reference to. Back then, that is how it was. So I have learned a message that there are other things, and you can celebrate in your heart without the dance and the music and so on. You could celebrate even when at work. So you don't have to take off a day from delivering health care because it's your birthday. And the patients need you. Perhaps you could get your shift shifted with somebody else so that there is not a vacancy that develops. And so I want to end to say at the end of this, I was encouraged to come. And I said some things yesterday, I'm going to have to repeat them. That may sound a bit stale. And I said, no, I will come. Because it is well. Because we are delivering for health care. Because for the second time in the second day, we are making important difference in delivery of health care for the people that matter in St. Kitts at Nevis. And people matter more when you're called to service. So I say thanks to all of you who have made that happen. Thank all the doctors, the nurses, and the administrators. You would have had good times and bad times in the build-up to all of this, and yet you are still here to celebrate. So to God be the glory. Great things he has done. And to all those who have called and wished me happy birthday, and have WhatsApped me and I haven't yet responded because I'm here talking, not that I'm ignoring the greetings, I say thank you. To God be the glory again.